Hello, when board games give us more, we're rolling with more. Hi, I'm Will, and with me as always is the one who's draped in medals,
Sarah.
And we're doing a review, overview, two-player, everything,
Yes.
expansion-wise, for Seven Wonders Architects medals. Sarah, tell us a bit about this expansion.
All right. Seven Wonders Architects Medals expansion adds 2 new wonders to the game, more science tokens, and introduces medals, which are a new way to compete over points with your neighboring players. So let's dive into what each of the pieces of this expansion adds. So medals. Will, do you want to explain how that works?
So there are 12 total medals, and they're going to be a big plastic piece, and on one side you adhere a sticker, and that will be what the goal is that you need to accomplish to achieve the medal. They'll get all shuffled up, and when you start setting up the game, along with your cards, your deck of cards, because each wonder will have its own deck of cards, you'll also add a medal. So there's going to be a medal to the left of you and to the right of you. And in a two-player game, that means there's going to be 2 medals. It's a first come, first serve. So as soon as one of the players achieves it on their turn, they take the medal and it'll score them an additional 4 points.
Yep, you flip it over, the back side has a giant 4 on it. So that's to remind you it's worth 4 points.
But that is essentially, they're just quasi goals that you can play with.
Little in-game, during-game goals.
Yes. And once it's taken, then nobody else can get
Right,
it.
and it's only for the 2 players adjacent to that medal. So nobody else around the table, even if they meet that goal, could take it.
Right.
Okay. Science tokens. So there's some new science tokens, 4 of them. I think the most interesting here is that they added a 3rd copy of the one that gives points for the number of these specific tokens. I think it's called, is it culture?
Culture, yeah.
If you have 1, it's worth 4 points. 2 is worth 12. So now it just has another opportunity for it to come up. There's one that kind of copies the cat mechanism.
Where you basically always have the cat ability. Not necessarily have the cat.
Right.
Just its ability to peek under the question mark.
Yeah, the central deck.
Central deck.
There's also gray points are worth points at the end of the game, and
Those
then
are leftover resources.
yeah, leftover resources, and then you don't lose the military cards that have the horns. When a battle occurs, you would not lose them. So some interesting new options there.
So when you're in a killing frenzy, that one's ready to go.
All right, the 2 new wonders, Ur and Rome. The more complicated of these is Rome, and the really complicated part, okay, so you're going to steal a card from another player. The complicated part is you have to remember to give them the top card of the central deck face down, and they'll flip it up at the beginning of their turn.
Yeah, it doesn't count as a thing that they've taken, and so they'll still take their normal turn.
Well,
but
when
they
they
get this in addition to
Right, but when they
it's their
flip
turn.
it up at the beginning of their turn, they do resolve it. So
Yes.
if it triggers anything
Like
that
a military fight
or anything else, then it still triggers.
Yeah.
We think that the best way to handle this is once you've identified what you want to take and from whom, give them the card first from the central deck and then take the card that you want. Because we found often if you take the card first, you start doing the rest of your turn.
Forget them.
And forget to give them a card. We had issues with that in our games with this. Or this is much simpler. You simply take the cat pawn and immediately then use its ability to look at the top card of the main deck, and then take a card from your normal 3 options. So you do
left,
kind of
right, or center.
right. So you get a bonus card, but you get the cat token in the process.
Yes.
So those are everything that this introduces. How it changes the 2-player experience. We felt the medals were a little flat.
Yeah. Usually one person got one person got the other, so
It's a wash.
it's a wash. And we're a little afraid that if somebody does get both, it might be a little too swingy.
Right, because I mean, that's then 8 points you have over your opponent.
Yes.
So, yeah, not really sure at the 2-player count how good or bad this would be. The other thing with Rome, since you're stealing cards, well, you only have one other player in a 2-player count game. You don't have any other options, and then it can kind of feel mean because, well, you're always attacking the other player.
Yeah, but it's also not that powerful because you do give them a face down card.
But there was at least one instance I took a card that you needed.
Yeah.
So
I think the biggest problem was we forgot to give me a question mark
yeah,
card.
I really think that's the biggest issue. So Rome may be hit or miss in a 2-player count, but the nice thing is this is just adding more to what already exists in the game. So at a 2-player count, you may just not want to play with Rome.
Yes.
Okay, accessibility. Ugh, stickers on the medals.
Yeah. So the stickers they're basically round with a weird little crescent cutout.
Yeah.
And that needs to fit around this plastic element on the back. And everything has to be very precise.
Yeah,
otherwise, it hits over a ledge and it doesn't stick right.
They should have made the sticker just slightly smaller so you'd have
room for error.
Because it's really hard. Now, we didn't talk about this in our main video because we got the copy used, but you do have to put the long stickers on each of the trays. But those have wiggle room and they're long rectangles, so they're much easier to put on. So these ones, though, are much trickier because there's less room for error.
Yep.
That, though, is the only accessibility.
Yep.
So before we get to our rating, let's talk about what we like and don't like about this expansion. It does give us more options.
Yes, which is what we like.
But it is kind of small, so it doesn't really significantly change the game.
Right.
And then, like we said, at the 2-player count, some of the aspects in here may be hit or miss. So that's really where we are on it. Okay, let's go over how it rolled for us.
Okay. So initially, I believe Architects gave it a 6 and I gave it a 5?
Yep.
Okay. Does the Metals expansion change your rating?
No, it's still a 6. I mean, I was already at the high end. This doesn't make it worse. It just gives more options.
Yeah.
And it just gives me options I probably won't play with at a 2-player count. But it does give, I mean, like I like the new science tokens. Those are in. Ur was fine. Rome, I might not want to play with all that often.
I'd actually want to see it more because I think we did mess up on.
That's
a few
true. We
times.
did mess up with Rome. So maybe next time you can play it.
Okay.
Metals is probably the only thing I probably wouldn't really want to play with at a 2-player count. Maybe.
I don't mean Metals by itself.
Metals, I would just probably not play with the metals component.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't think this takes anything away from the game. It adds, and it's just some aspects I might not want to play at 2 players.
I thought the Metals were fine in the fact that it might give me different choices where
That's true.
might lean towards one way just so I can get that medal.
Yeah, but then I'm inclined and motivated to try to get the other medals so that it's a wash.
Right.
So it feels like an extra goal that essentially amounts to nothing unless I'm doing really poorly and then I'm going to lose possibly because you just got 8 points is significant.
Yes, it is.
That's just what it is.
Yeah.
So what was your rating?
So I think it stays a 5.
Yeah.
There's not enough to shift it one way or the
Yeah.
other. And I do appreciate that there's more variety now in our Seven Wonders Architects game.
Yeah.
So that's a big plus, but it's minor stuff.
It is
so,
pretty minor.
Yeah. Rating stayed the same.
Okay. Now, who this is for, we said the base game is going to be for anybody, for most libraries, and I think this goes right along with it because it's just.
And we did give the caveat though, it is pricey.
Yeah, this is pricey.
Yeah.
So and one little thing that is annoying to a lot of gamers is this will not fit in the base game box unless you throw away in the base game. There's a big tray that holds the overall components like the central deck and the tokens for the science and the battling. If you get rid of that tray, then you can fit the 2 wonders from this, but then you're going to get rid of the tray that holds the metal. You're going to put all that in Ziplocs. You're going to put all the common components in Ziplocs to put on top.
So it can get actual messy.
Right. Now, you could also wait to see if anyone makes a 3D insert. It's just the trays that exist are so great that I can't see anybody being able to really build something that's better. So the only way to really get this to fit in the base game, like I said, would be to follow those guidelines. Well, I found it on BGG. On the other hand, this is such a small box. It's the same size, what do you call it, width-wise?
Yeah, but much thinner.
Much thinner. So you could always just leave it on top of your existing box, and it should be okay too.
Okay.
All right, that's everything.
All right, and to finish this off, how do you feel about the price of the expansion? Because the base game was definitely pricey. This one we got, I think, on sale for around $20.
I feel it's fine.
At $20?
At $20.
Because I think the retail is a little bit more.
Yeah, if you buy this at full price, you may not feel like you've gotten your money's worth. It really depends on how depends on the player count. Because I think at higher player counts, the medals will be much more interesting.
Yeah.
And having more variety in the wonders is going to be a lot more beneficial at higher player counts.
Yeah.
So I think full price is worth it for those who play more players. Anyone else probably going to want to look for it on sale. I think it'll go on sale more likely and more often. Expansions generally are because they're hard to usually sell. So the value of it is subjective. Sorry.
Yeah. But I think if you have already invested in Architects, this one's not going to be as hard of a pill to swallow.
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all.
All right. That's it for us. And we've been rolling with more. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach out to us on the various social media platforms at
Rolling with Two. That's TWO. We're on Blue Sky, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For Discord, we have a channel on Tabletop Express. Check the show notes for the invite link.
If you have time, check out the other content Nanaman has found for you, because remember, he's rolling with you.